Hello, guys. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good day, wherever you are in the world. This is Pleasant Creeks, and I'm welcoming you to this channel where we talk, share opinions, rub minds, and give our frank opinion about issues going on around the world and on a very wide variety of things, basically. Um, if this is the first time you're seeing this channel, I want you to subscribe, hit the like button, um, go touch on the notification icon, the bell, so that whenever there is a new upload, you can see it first. So today I'll be talking about how the West sponsored the war between Russia and Ukraine. This is continuing from my previous video last week, and so we're going to be talking about this issue of the war that is currently ravaging Ukraine. This is Putin's war, basically, because I don't see it as a Russian war. I call it Putin's war, a war of attribution on the Ukrainian people. So let's talk. And don't forget, please, you can go to the comment section and actually drop one line or two, or whatever your opinions are. They're relevant. Let's talk, because we are all global citizens, and whatever happens in one aspect of the world affects everybody, one way or the other, because we're all feeling the pinch when it comes to gas prices, food prices. Ukraine is one of the largest producers of grain, especially to the Arab world. Lebanon, which is already suffering from classic hyperinflation. And we know that a whole lot of European countries depend on Russia for gas, general energy needs. We know that Russia has allies even in Africa, in the Baltics, and even in the Arab countries. We know that Syria is currently bringing mercenaries, basically, to fight Ukraine. Vladimir Putin also assents to that. So today, talking about how the West actually funds or sponsored kind of part of the war going on right now. Let me give you a background. So, like him or hate him, Donald Trump was the 45th president of the United States. And please don't come say, oh, I'm not American, I'm African, whatever. I don't have anything whatsoever to say about America or the West or whatever. That's just vile you're spewing. Because when it comes to foreign policy, American policy affects the whole world. So it's time the whole world also speaks about things that affect them, okay? So please put that aside, and we're talking global issues right now. Like I said in the beginning, whatever affects one person in one part of the world affects everybody else. When the coronavirus started, it was discovered, or it began in Wuhan in China. It went all around the world. It affected everybody. Okay, so let's talk. So when Donald Trump was president, for the first time, America actually became energy sufficient, energy dependent. You might argue that fracking, I don't personally like fracking, but whatever it is, the energy supply was sufficient. Fuel prices or gas prices, whatever, went down. It was a good thing because, it put more money in the pockets of people because you don't have to spend so much for gas. The money that would have been spent for gas, for heating and electricity and all that, was now put to use elsewhere. In that same vein, Canada, through the Keystone XL pipeline being built from Canada to get supply to the Gulf of Mexico for exports and also supply the American market, was killed by Joe Biden as soon as he came in after the tenure of Donald Trump. Now, America all of a sudden would not be able to have electric cars for everybody. It's not possible because, the average Tesla is about $50,000. How many people can afford that when majority of the people actually drive used cars? Nobody. Majority of the people cannot afford that anywhere in the world. So you cannot just automatically make the economy or make energy green. We've seen with the hurricanes, landslides, bushfires, all the natural disasters, that intermittent supply of electricity is not really sustainable. It's not something we need right now. In as much as so much research is going, and I'm up for the science, that research is going into renewables to make sure that we rid ourselves of fossil fuels. We still need it right now. I think in the next 20, 30, 40, 50 maybe years, we'll still be depending largely on fossil fuels to drive our economies all over the world. That's a fact. Even if the West moves away from fossil fuels, what about Africa and parts of Latin America, parts of Asia, some other, lower economies, it's going to take a while to catch on. And the huge implications for countries that have large oil reserves. What do you think they want to do? OPEC. Oil funds most of our economy. Like in Nigeria, for instance, the budget is pegged on the price, based on the price of crude for that year. So what would you say about them? They would oppose every attempt. Even though, you can research, you can go back in time, 3, 4, 5 years ago, where in Parliament, people actually opposed the use of electric vehicles. Yeah, this is 2020 something. So I'm not talking about something in the 17, 18, 19, whatever. We're talking about 2020s. So to stay on course, now Joe Biden canceled the Keystone XL pipeline. The cars were still there. America still needed fossil fuels, gasoline, basically, natural gas, whatever. Now, who's going to supply the shortfall? Everybody turned to Russia because they have vast reserves. Vast reserves. Now, Angela Merkel canceled LNG facilities being built in Germany. Rather, they decided to build the Nord Stream 2 with Russia, bypass Ukraine to get to Germany through Kazakhstan and all those other countries. That is already the European Union or Germany, whatever, already boycotting or trying indirectly to impose economic embargo or sanctions or whatever on Ukraine by allowing Nord Stream 2 to bypass Ukraine, because traditionally Russian gas usually passes through Ukraine. So the Russians kept supplying America and other parts of the world with gas, natural gas, LNG, and gasoline, basically, or crude, or whatever you call it. At the end of the day, it meant that America and the West every day were paying billions of dollars to the coffers of Vladimir Putin. And that's it. That's where he had the money to fund his war. The Russian ruble isn't that great of a currency, if you look at it even before the war. Despite the fact that he has his oligarchs everywhere positioned in key strategic industries, in sports, in heavy metals, in whatever it is. The West actually had to patronize Russia, patronize Putin, to make sure that they had their resource, which is the oil, flowing to them, while he got his money. You see? So whatever happened to the era of Donald Trump having to give America energy dependence, or independence rather, was gone, evaporated, just like that. Now, I'm not someone who says that we shouldn't have toned down our emissions, I'm for a green economy, yes. But realistically, speaking from science, it takes a while. If you're talking about Africa now, where there is constant sunshine, close to the Sahara deserts, you have wind, yes, I'm all for that. You can actually implement those. But those countries also have oil, which is more to them, more valuable in their own way of thinking. Will they give up oil for solar, for wind? Your guess is as good as mine. So you see that every day Russia's being paid billions of dollars. I'm glad that right now Joe Biden eventually listened to reason whatever has been taken for the past whatever 1 year, 100 days, blah blah blah, will still be paid for. So that's still billions of dollars. See that? So the West connive with Russia, have it indirectly, to continue to fund this war by continually depending on Russia for energy needs. Do you get me now? You see that? So sometimes there has to be a holistic approach to things. We don't just say, oh, because Donald Trump was a rash leader, he was so whatever your opinion might be, because of whatever he has done, begin to reverse, cancel, without actually sitting down to analyze, to think through. Vladimir Putin has always been this person. He's never changed. He didn't just wake up out of the blue and say, oh, blah, 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 I'm going to do this. No! This is who he is. A warmonger. Yes. He sent aid to Belarus when the people rose up against their leader. Do you understand? When the Ukrainians in 2014 gathered in the Maidan to protest against Viktor Yanukovych, he gained safe haven in Russia. And who says that any country cannot decide to move to whatever alliance they prefer or they want in the world? Who says that? In recent times, most of the West African countries say they don't want France anymore because France is not helping them to deal with insurgency. France did not bomb them. France did not fight them. They are instead calling for Vladimir Putin. I wish they knew better. Nigeria, as a country, depended on the IMF, the World Bank, the West generally for loans in the past, but now they're looking toward China. America did not bomb them. So you can choose whatever alliance, as long as you're an independent country, you can choose whatever alliances you want to be. Now people say, Putin doesn't want NATO at his doorsteps. Who says NATO is not already on your doorsteps? And who says that NATO is about to invade or destroy Russia or attack Russia in any form? Nobody's doing that. We should get that through our heads. Nobody is attacking Russia. Okay? In the 90s, Ukraine also had its own nuclear weapons. Now the West had to convince Ukraine to give up their nuclear arms for certain guarantees, which is not being fulfilled right now. Now, the question is this: if Ukraine had kept their weapons, right now, do you think Putin would have the nerves to actually attack? Because he's threatening with nukes. Okay, you give me one, I give you two. Or we are equally matched. Or even if it's just 20 nuclear heads or warheads you have versus Russia having 5,000. It takes one to do the damage. Yeah. And then the West is so coward because Putin says, I'm going to, threats of nuke. And then we cannot reason or do what is reasonable. This is what Adolf Hitler did. Attacked Poland, people became very scared, and he kept moving, gaining grounds until people chose freedom over tyranny. And I hope someday the Russians themselves, because they will be more prosperous if they choose someone else other than Putin. That's the simple truth. Because, you see the facade that is called the oligarchy of Russia as wealthy Russia. That's all you see. Rosneft, Gazprom. That's all you see. But there is poverty in the land. for majority of the Russian population in a country of plenty. Okay? So the West needs to step up. Poland decided to offer up their jets. Yeah, it's a fungible whatever, but that was a step they took. Do you want to tell me now that if Russia eventually, and God forbid, I hope they don't, take over Ukraine, win that battle, do you think he's going to stop there? He's going to march on Georgia. He thinks this is the USSR of 91 or 89 or whatever, and he wants to take over, reunite the USSR. Isn't Russia as a land space bigger than whatever he can govern? Isn't he satisfied? NATO, the UN, should stop all the long speeches. It's time for action. I'm glad they're taking all the sanctions, but it's not enough. It is not enough. This is where diplomats, career military men, strategists, this is where they begin to plot what we need to do. If we do this, this is what happens. Okay, we cannot do this. This is what we have to do. Joe Biden needs to act. People are dying. The other day on the news, a hospital was blasted, bombed, with pregnant women there, women in labor. You kill children? Come on. Come on. These are the kind of things that fuel insurgency. These are the things that fuel insurgency. Do you think in Russia there are not people who are sympathetic to the Ukrainian cause? Of course they are. And these people could choose. I tell you, they could choose to begin guerrilla warfare in Moscow, in St. Petersburg. Don't forget about the fact that he thinks Russia is a police state. Nobody has a monopoly of violence. That's just life for you. But right now, this bloodshed needs to stop. It needs to stop. It's not by bringing in mercenaries from Syria or wherever in the Arab world. And then let me even talk about Africa. Africa is a continent. Even though many people, whatever in the West, thinks and says Africa, they'll talk about Africa like a country. It's a continent of about 54 countries. But unfortunately, many countries in Africa are sympathetic to the Russian cause. Why would you be if you're not someone who's a benefactor of the Russian state? Tell me. In the votes to condemn the Russia in the UN, Eritrea decided to vote for Russia. Can you imagine that? South Africa decided to abstain, and then in some other quarters they would call the occupation of the Palestinian state by Israel as an apartheid. What about now that a free state, Ukraine, being attacked by another country? Now, the reason why you have sympathizers with the Russians in Africa is this. Sorry to say, many of the leaders of Africa are dumb. Yes, I'm an African, and I'll tell you that fair and squared, straight to your face. Many leaders of Africa are dumb, stupid. They're not sovereign. They're like dogs being held on a leash. So wherever the master pulls them to, that's where they go. You've given up your liberty, your life, to either the West or Western alliances or to the East. How many times have you heard that China comes to Africa to borrow loans, to get loans? China would give Nigeria a loan. China would give Ghana a loan. China would give Zambia a loan. Zimbabwe, Kenya, Sudan, Burkina Faso, Senegal, the Central African Republic. And then Russia will bring infrastructures in the Congo. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? You became an independent country in the 60s, 70s, 80s, but you're not truly independent. If you look at these countries in Africa, many of them economically were more viable before independence than they are after independence. I'll give you an example of Nigeria. I grew up in Nigeria. Yes, oil was discovered in Nigeria in 1953. In 1953, Oloibiri, in present-day Bayelsa State. After oil was discovered, in fact, in Nigeria, there's no major oil company in the world that is not represented in Nigeria. We're talking of ExxonMobil. In the past, we had Chevron Texaco. We have Total. We have Elf. We used to have Gulf. Shell Petroleum. I mean, Baker Hughes. Halliburton. Schlumberger. I mean, which company is not in Nigeria? Drilling since the 1953s up till now. What is the economic benefit? You drill, you pay for whatever you drilled, and then our leaders loot the money and take it back to the West to improve the economy. So, because of your allegiance is to either the West or to the East, you support them. They are your masters. And as such, they have a say in your government, not the people. They support you in times of war. They support you to ensure that you remain in power perpetually. And because they support you, you have to support them at the UN. That's the case. Would you think with all the loans Nigeria has with China, if China were to bring a proposition in the House, in the UN, you think Nigeria would go against it? Of course not. Absolutely not. So that's some of the reasons why we're not getting global cohesion, why we're not getting enough of what we need to get in terms of coalition to actually say no to Russia. I'm not saying Russia doesn't have a right to say they don't want or they don't like Ukraine joining NATO, but you cannot force a country to toe your line. You can't. You cannot do that. And that's why I'm also in support of President Erdogan of Turkey, saying that the UN has to change in terms of 5 countries, 5 permanent members in the Security Council dictating for the entire universe what can and cannot happen. It has to change. That's the simple truth. It goes for America, it goes for France, Great Britain, Russia, China. It goes for everyone. And now you can see how weak America looks in the eyes of the world. How weak. Now, America is the police of the world. I mean, God or whatever has placed America in such great position, in a position of responsibility. And as such, if you love democracy, if you love truth, America is not without its own sin. Yeah, but we're talking about now, what's going on currently. But if you love peace, you have to support America. But it seems like Joe Biden doesn't have a hang of the situation. Imagine the situation of America having to go behind Russia in trying to make settlements or whatever agreements on nuclear whatever in Iran. When has America gone to the back seat in such global issues of importance? America being led by Russia in nuclear negotiations having to do with Iran. Isn't that madness? I mean, not every country can have nuclear weapons because you don't trust them. Not everybody is sane. Some countries, we know their leaders perpetually are devils. You can't allow them to have it. That's true. Absolutely. Absolutely. Common sense will prevail. I don't want this video to be too long. But again, if you have whatever you want to say, please go on the comment section and just, put a few comments there, and then I'll respond. We'll talk. People think that the presence of China and Russia is a counterbalance to America. America is not invading your country, Russia. Neither is it invading China. It can't. It won't. Now, with this act that Putin is doing in Ukraine, it emboldens China. Are you telling me now in the nearest future they would want to take over Taiwan? I'm telling you, do you think they would not want to take over? Sovereign countries now being taken over because you are a superpower. It has to stop. It's madness. And it has to stop. The fact that you think you don't want, there has to be a border. If Ukraine, because of prosperity, chose to be aligned with the West, it's nobody's business. They're not killing anybody like you are killing them right now. President Zelensky is a Churchill of our time. He's a man of courage. He didn't orchestrate this war. He didn't plan for this war because he didn't want this war. You annexed Crimea. You took away Donbass region. Donetsk. You're declaring republics in another man's country. And nobody's saying anything or doing anything. There's media propaganda in Russia that's just brainwashing the people. We're talking about lives here, for God's sake. Lives. Human lives. People don't need to die. People have seen enough wars. And like I said in my last video, it's time to end all wars. It's time. There has to be liberty and peace and prosperity in Libya, in Yemen, in Eritrea. Okay? It's time to stop the insanity. Too much bloodshed. Wanton killings in Nigeria. Insurgency has to stop. Okay? I'm screaming because I'm upset. We need people with mental capacities to change the world, not people to ruin and destroy the world. The world is a beautiful place. Government shall be of laws rather than of man. That's one of the creed of the Junior Chamber International. Government shall be of laws rather than of man. But in the Russian state, it's of man, not of laws. Okay? So as it stands, whatever your comments are, whatever your opinions are, please be free to drop your comments in the comment section. Subscribe and stay tuned for more videos like this. Thank you and have a great day. Cheers.